Artist James Rosenquist was among the leaders of the pop art movement, along with artists such as Andy Warhol, Jasper Johns, Robert Rauschenberg, and Roy Lichtenstein. In 2009, the London Times named Rosenquist one of the top 200 artists of the 20th century. Rosenquist has lived and worked in the rural Florida community of Aripica since the late 1970s. Now 75, he likes the light in Florida and the fact that he can work here with few distractions. Rosenquist was born in North Dakota and worked for a time as a sign painter in the Midwest before moving to New York. His first job in New York was painting signs in Brooklyn, which led to work painting billboards on Times Square.
Tried to transfer into the International Sign and Pictorial Painters Union Local 230. So I go to 28th Street in Lexington, the office, and there's these guys there who look like gorillas. They got plaid woolen shirts on. They're old, tough Italian guys. And
what do you want to come in here for? There ain't no work for you, kid.
So I got up and I said, I respect the rights of all the older gentlemen in this union, and I'm willing to take my turn. And the guy goes, See, I was already in a union from the Midwest, so they had to be nice to me anyway. But anyway, so I said,
all right, kid. Bring your initiation fee up next Thursday.
So I brought my money on, and the secretary, you want to paint lines on the highway? I said, no. Do you want to paint numbers on the seats in the polagram? No. I only paint pictures. So finally, I got a job. My first job was painting a Hebrew National Salami sign on the Flatbush Extension in Brooklyn.
Other assignments followed, but Rosenquist didn't want to paint signs forever, especially after a few of his colleagues were killed on the job.
So then, in '59, 2 guys were killed. A.B. Marco fell off Klein's department store, and another guy got killed, so I thought, this is too dangerous. And so I went to the boss, who was Jake Starr, an old boy, and I said, I want to, and see, I was stepping outside the union. I want $30 a week more, or I'm leaving. What do you mean? You know, you got a job here. You could get married someday even. You could even buy a car someday. I said, I'm leaving. So I left and I never came back. And that was kazoom. That was it. And I got a loft down on the waterfront for $45 a month. And I wondered what the hell I was going to do. I had no idea what I was going to do. But I used to watch the Wall Streeters come and go. And then I started clipping images out of magazines that I thought were really peculiar, ridiculous, contradictory, and so forth and so on. And I started making my what's called pop art paintings now. One was a front of a 450 Ford, 2 people whispering to each other in a field of Franco-American spaghetti.
He thinks his combining and overlapping of images, including many images that would seem to be unrelated, stem perhaps from a painting he saw when he was a child.
My work, is always, it's like I'm a colligator. I do collages. They're really collages of disparate imagery put together. So I wondered where that started. And everyone said, oh, Kirk Schwitters did it. He's the one who was a collagist, colligator, he did it. Then I think back, and I remember during World War II, I saw an exhibition in a museum in Ohio. It had a bunch of 3 items, a live flower, a little painting, and a shrunken head. I was little. I go, what the hell does that mean? And then I went back to, reading. I read the Book of Tea. I studied Eastern philosophy. And in the Book of Tea, supposed to drink 10 cups of hot tea and sweat and meditate on three things. A flower, a painting, and a decorated tea bowl. Something like that was in the Book of Tea was read in Boston in 1900, this Book of Tea. And it was like the spark of different images brings another idea, and the images are really expendable, but what's left over is your idea, your new idea.
Rosenquist was friendly with Andy Warhol and many of the other pop artists of the time. There wasn't much collaboration among the artists, although there was plenty of socializing. Warhol in particular was known for his parties, but he and many of the other artists were also known for working many hours on their art.
A group is called a group of people because of the energy, I think. They're very different people, different styles, but it's energetic, and so people try to name them because of this group of energetic people. Roy worked a lot. He was a worker. Andy was a hard worker too. I was a worker. Oldenburg, he was a worker. George Siegel, he was a worker. Tom Wesselman was he was a worker, but he was a very quiet individual. He was not social at all. He used to go to his studio and work all day and go home. He used to do that again and again. He never went out, never threw a party, never went out to parties. He just died a bit ago. I went to his funeral. Nobody really knew him. The preacher said, "I never met Mr. Wesselman," and blah, 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 blah. And no one is there to talk about him.
In April of 2009, a fire destroyed Rosenquist's replica home and studio. Everything was lost, including paintings.
I lost quite a bit of stuff. But there's only a few things that really hurt. And that is the print archive and that 133-foot mural. That was rough. I had some other big paintings, but I really didn't care that much. But there were things that I lost with my mother's scrapbooks from her flying days.
Rosenquist has decided not to rebuild, but will instead convert a guest house on the property into a smaller home and office. There, he will continue to paint, as always.
I start in on a project, I work like crazy. I just work. Then I finish it and I go somewhere. Then I come back and I work, and I do it. I just work. I'm like a dog, kick me and I move.
This is Art Levy for Florida Trend.